Hello everybody, this is going to be a tutorial on how to beat King Dice without taking damage. To keep things simple, I'm just using the Peashooter weapon and Smoke Dash Charm, as both are accessible at the start of the game. The Smoke Dash in particular I highly recommend, as it makes some of these mini bosses essentially free. The gimmick with King Dice is there are 9 potential mini bosses to face before King Dice, where the perfect scenario is you facing 3 and then King Dice. I'll share my recommended order, which I find the easiest, but we'll also go through each one of them so you know what to do if you land on any of them. To get the dice roll you want, in this spin here it goes in order 1, 2, 3. I want the 1, so I jump when the 2 appears and then parry the 1 with the jump. You'll have to adjust that timing when the dice spins quicker or slower, but that's how I do it. Mini boss number 1 is these 3 glasses, which each have their own different attack. The bottom one spills drink across the floor, which we have to jump and dash across. The middle one spawns these green flying mobs, which spawn their own projectiles. And the third one drops liquid from the sky. We want to be getting rid of the bottom one as soon as possible, as it's the only one that requires us to go into the air for. As well, it is the quickest attack, so you want to be getting rid of that first. Second thing to focus on is getting rid of the mobs as soon as they appear, as it's just makes things a lot easier that you only have to deal with avoiding the liquid dropping from the ceiling after that. They do also spawn parryable projectiles, so if you're in a safe position, that can be good to go for as well. After which, the liquid dropping from the ceiling, all you have to do is just dash to left or right, and just keep notice of when he is doing the attack to react in time. The second and third of those bosses, we have to jump in order to do damage, so keep that in mind when you're trying to finish the fight. Mini boss number 2 is these poker chips, which, if you have Smoke Dash, makes this mini boss essentially free, and is the fight I'd recommend going for during a natural run. The chips go up to the other side of the arena in a random assortment, which you can either duck under if you don't have Smoke Dash, duck under, jump through the gaps. But if you do have Smoke Dash, then you can literally just iframe through. Simple as that, really. And then you can only do damage to the blue chips on his head, so that's why you have to fire at a diagonal going up. But yeah, other than that, just Smoke Dashing through. Even without Smoke Dash, in fairness, just dash through the gaps and crouch in. This is quite a nice boss and wouldn't be the one I'd recommend doing. Mini boss number 3 is the cigar, which has 1 attack but has 2 variations of it, where it spawns this fire projectile, which can either circle towards us or circle away from us as it approaches our position. When it's circling away from us, we want to wait for it to go up to the peak to the very bottom of its circle and then jump over it. Also, the mobs that fly through the center between the ashtrays, if you have Smoke Dash, you don't have to worry about them, as you'll iframe with your dash. If you don't have Smoke Dash, just make sure to pick your gap correctly. But with Smoke Dash, you don't have to worry about them at all, as you'll be iframing through if you go at the same time as them. With the fireballs that run at the same time as us, that are spinning towards us, I should say, wait for them to pass by in front of you and then walk under them. So here it's circling towards us, and once it's passed by in front of us, we walk underneath it. And by the time, and whilst we're doing that, it will have gone past you. With the ones and the circling going away, we want to be jumping over as it goes to the bottom of the screen. The ones that are circling towards us, walking under it as it passes us. So that's the first set 3 bosses. I'd recommend going for the poker chips boss number 2, as it is the simplest one. Going into the next 3, the first boss of this set is these dominoes, which has 2 attacks, and as well as the moving platform. Can't stay on the moving platform too long, as you'll be dragged into the left side, as well as you need to be constantly jumping towards the right in order to avoid the spikes on the ground as well. The 2 attacks that he does is spawning a mini domino, which travels across the ceiling, down the left side, and then across the floor. Don't really have to worry about it too much until it starts going along the floor. So just make sure to jump, get beyond the right hand side when it eventually reaches the floor, so you can jump over to the left hand side, and you've got the space to do that. The second attack he does is spawn those projectiles, which travel up and down from the ceiling to the ground. 2 of which are not parryable, 1 of which is. Tricky part of this is just making sure you position yourself so when you dash past or jump past, that you're not going to be landing in the spikes. So keep an eye on the spiked floor order that's coming up. The parryable, a point to note with the spikes is if you're going to land on them, you can use an EX attack in order to pause yourself in the air, as well as the dash as well. The dash as well obviously is handy for shifting position, but EX attacks can pause you and help you allow the spikes to go under. So just as a point there. Boss number 5 is also the next one I'd recommend doing if you have the Smoke Dash, as it makes it super simple. he can do two things, or three things technically. One where he spawns these skulls around in a circle, which if we stay on this card, all we have to do is dash through. Second thing he does is spawn the line of projectiles on the ceiling or the floor. All you need to do is position yourself above or below and then be ready to parry them. Be careful for when they spawn on the center and jumping up to the card, as sometimes you can land on the platform and mistime your parry. So that's just one thing I'd be careful of. Other than that, stay on the card, dash through the skulls, and position yourself under or above the parryables when they spawn. But that is the one I would recommend for these next set of three to go for, as long as you have smoke dash. Mini boss number 6 is a flying level and has three things to avoid, I'd say. First of all, the jockeys that run below have a hitbox, so you can't go too low in this arena. As well as the jockeys, the bright blue jockey in a cape flies directly above once it reaches your position, so keep an eye on that. And then the third thing is the present that the boss fires, which then explodes into horseshoes, which I'd recommend using the small form to get in between the gap for safety. Or if the parryable one is coming towards you, that was also a benefit. You can just parry that and use the X attacks to speed the phase up. But yeah, keep an eye on the jockeys below for when that blue one appears, to make sure you dash to the left or right. And by dash, I mean use small form for the speed burst. Move left or right to avoid getting hit by that, as well as not being too low in the arena so you get contact damage with the jockeys. Mini boss number 7, and the one I would recommend in this final set of 3. As long as you have smoke dash. Even if you don't have smoke dash, actually, it's actually a pretty simple boss, as all you have to do is parry the chips, land on them, and then jump over this boss. But with smoke dash, you literally just iframe through both the attacks. As this one, we can just either move or dash through the way, and as she moves from side to side, just smoke dash through. Super simple, and like I say, the one I'd recommend for this final set 3. If you don't have smoke dash, it's still not too much of an issue. When these balls are flying down, once the gap appears, just move to the right or left hand side. As she moves across the arena, you'll just have to parry the poker chips, land on them, and then jump over. With smoke dash, super simple though. Mini boss number 8 has got 2 attacks. One where it fires a projectile towards your last position, and these chalks that spawn alternating from the left to right side. So if it spawned last on the right hand side, the next one will be on the left hand side. That raises up and then drops down. Pretty simple to avoid. The projectile is easy to jump across or dash across. It's very telegraphed. And the chalks, you just have to keep in mind where the last one spawned, so you don't stay on the left or right hand side and have it spawn on you. And then when they go into the air, that's very telegraphed as well, so very easy to walk under or dash across. Other than that, it's a pretty nice boss, and one that even if you don't get number 7, which is the one I'd recommend, this one is a really nice boss as well. Boss number 9 is one I would try to avoid at all costs, not because of the difficulty of it, but because the fight itself can take a very long time. You're essentially playing Snap with the back cards, where you have to match the same cards together, and you get a brief second at the start to memorize as many positions as possible. After you match 2, you'll be fighting the monkey, which after you've done a certain amount of damage, you'll go back to the cards. The attack it does is not too difficult to avoid. Use a small form if necessary to get between the gaps, but the projectiles have to move quite slowly, so you should be fine. Use a small form if necessary, more so to get out of way of where the monkey's going, as that's a little trickier to avoid. But yeah, essentially it's the same fight. You just have to go through all the cards, and then only after all the cards are done, will you be able to finish the fight. So yeah, like I say, I'd recommend avoiding this fight at all costs, just for time-wise, really. Final part of the fight is obviously King Dice himself, who has one attack, which is sending these set of cards down, of which we need to parry the pink cards in order to avoid dropping to the floor and getting damaged. The only time I'd recommend using the dash is in that situation where there's 3 cards at the start, or the pink card is away. As using the dash whilst you're parrying can be hard to judge distance, so I'd recommend just using the parry jumps. Like once you've parried, using the jump from that parry in order to get to the next card. Only using the dash to get to the first card. I feel it makes it a lot safer. Whilst you're also parrying, I'd also recommend just holding the shoot button as well, as you can just do damage as you're spinning up there, so might as well get all the damage you can. And because of the parrying, you build up your X attacks quite quickly. So once the set of cards has been done, you can spam your X attacks during that damage gap. But yeah, like here, 3 black cards at the start, so we want to be using the dash to get to the pink card, the parryable card, and then just focus on the parrying in order to move our position. You can also stay on the very right side of the arena as it goes. You don't have to go all the way to the left straight away. You can parry on the same card a couple of times in order to get your position right to move to the next card. But yeah, that's King Dice. Like I say, there's a lot of potential in there if you with the dice rolls and everything. The order, like I say, I'd recommend is boss number 2, the poker chips, boss number 5, the rabbit, and boss number 7, the ballerina, and then going straight to King Dice. It's the easiest one, and like I say, having Smoke Dash really helps in that fight. If there is any queries on that, then put in the comments below. Most like Twitch at twitch.tv/wayofloki. If there is any queries, I'll be happy to help. And as always, there's written tips in the description. If you're interested in more Cuphead boss guides or found some value in this video, then click the subscribe button, and I shall see you in the next video.